Hello Nikki, hello Transport Evolved, hope you're all well on this wonderful Tuesday. You mentioned the analogy between charging connectors on a car. You used the example of headphone sockets and music sockets, and it's really interesting. And in some of those cases we've come down to one specific standard, and in others we haven't. And that kind of worries me a little bit, even with fuel for a car, where there really are only two options in the UK, which is diesel and petrol. There are a few others, but generally most people diesel or petrol, and people get that wrong. People who have been driving a diesel car for years will put petrol in it, and people who have been driving a petrol car for years will put diesel in it. I think it's too early to call which one's going to win. There are four competing standards. There's CHAdeMO, Type 2 Rapid AC, CCS for DC, and the Tesla Supercharger. It's far too early to call which one of them is going to be the standard. And just for everyone out there talking about CHAdeMO in the UK and in the US, we have the really awful connectors with that horrible lever that gets stuck. That isn't the only connector. There are other connectors that can go into car that use the CHAdeMO standard. There's a wonderful one that's been used in Japan quite a lot, which has just a little socket on it, and you just push it in and it clicks into place and says it's in place, and that's it. And to release it, you pull a rocker back and pull it out. There's none of this double button pressing, pull lever up, jiggle about rubbish. Sneaky, sneaky BMW with their range. It's, yeah, from an EV point of view, inconceivable. But I can totally see why it's been done. I can totally see why their marketing department have gone with it. But I vaguely remember we had something similar when the Volt and the Ampera came out, that it was marketed as a 250 mile or a 400 mile electric car. You could argue that it is an easy distinction. There's an all-electric range and then there's a range extended range. But I think people will get confused, and where confusion is possible, misunderstanding is possible, and where misunderstanding is possible, you may get someone walking in and buying this car thinking it has a total EV range of that much. And BMW know this. That's the reason they've done it, is to make this claim that people infer something about, which isn't what they intended, and they will fully stay and go, oh, we didn't intend that. No, we thought we were being clear. But in reality, their intention is exactly what it says, is they want to make people think their car goes further than everyone else. What do I want to talk to you about? Electric cars on TV and in films. We're used to seeing electric cars talked about on the news and radio shows every now and then, and usually it comes with the plethora of myths that are always debunked but no one seems to remember. But more and more we're starting to see EVs appear in TV shows and movies. The latest one is in Zero Theorem, where there are loads of Twizzes zooming around in this kind of futuristic but not quite futuristic city, and it's absolutely wonderful to see these cars. One, because the Twiz is so much fun to drive anyway, and two, to see that idea of the future where we've moved towards a transportation that is electric and smaller is brilliant. But there's been a whole range of them, and these are only a few that I wrote down off the top of my head. Fringe had the Leaf in it. The Prius has been sponsoring Warehouse 13. Toyota's been sponsoring Warehouse 13 for a while, and it's not the plug-in one. Almost Human, which is the modern sci-fi series, all the cars in that are electric, especially the police cars. They go around in these electric ones which zoom off. They're great fun, and I'm fairly sure they're just standard cars that have the sound stripped out, but it doesn't matter. Blade Runner, the old movie, I'm fairly sure, I haven't watched it in a long while, but the cars in that I think were electric and had the cool hum as they went past. And I think this is a really good thing, because we're moving away from it happening solely in sci-fi shows now, and we're moving away from it being kind of a, look, we've got an electric car. They're just becoming commonplace in the background, and it's that permeation into media that electric cars need to have to get into people's minds so they don't become an alien concept. Every little bit is chipped out of the public consciousness until EVs become normalised, and that's what we need. It needs to become just another option. And I was wondering, are there any other shows out there that I've missed that have electric cars in them? And let me know, because I'd love to watch them. What do you think of electric cars appearing in these shows? Do you think it's silly? Do you think it's obvious product placement? Do you think it distracts from the show because something so unusual in the general context of the show is suddenly there? Do you think it's wonderful? I just want to know what people think, because I really like it. I really, really do, and I want to see more of it. Maybe we can start getting them in normal TV shows like Midsummer Murders. Wouldn't you love to see an electric car in Midsummer Murders? It could be the murder! They didn't see it coming! They didn't hear it coming! Splat, the murder. Ooh. Anyway, Nikki, I shall see you tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Bye bye, Transport Bowl. Bye bye, Nikki.